What's up, Nickel City Mafia? Welcome to the Rush Hour. We've got a fun show tonight, recapping the final preseason game, yay, and talking about what that projected 53-man roster may look like, which is going to happen. I think the deadline is 4 p.m. Tuesday Eastern, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Joining me today is my co-host, as always, Mr. Jake Podger, over there. 10 minutes from the stadium, Jake? 10 minutes?
Yeah, roughly 10 minutes.
Right
yeah,
that.
that's right. Yeah.
But tonight, got a special guest, Jake. We got a guest that's been supporting our channel and many other Bills podcasts by being in the live chat. You see her as Jessica Tennis usually. She brings some great insights, and man, we've been trying to get her for a while. We've been hinting about it, and she finally said, okay, I'm ready. I'll join you guys this Sunday. She knows all about the Buffalo Bills, and we're honored to have you. So thank you so much, Jessica. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Well,
first woman to be on the Nickel City Mafia show. How about that?
I know.
So what a distinct honor, Jessica. We're glad to have you. This is awesome. Well, I know you're always bringing the heat in the comments, and I'm excited to get some like real live takes. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah. So I want to take a moment, Jake, to kind of talk to Jessica about her journey in football. Like, was she always a Bills fan? You know, just to find out how she got to become a Buffalo Bills fan. So Jessica, can you share that story with us?
Back in the 1980s, originally I was a Dallas Cowboys fan. Mostly because I had a small little black and white TV with an antenna on it, and I could only pick up the CBS station out of Watertown, New York. And every week it was NFC East games every single week. And so Giants, Philadelphia, Washington, or Dallas. And of course, everybody prefers Dallas, I assume, from those, at least when I was growing up. And I fell in love with that team. Randy White, Ed Too Tall Jones, Tony Dorsett, Roger Staubach, Danny White, and the rest of them. And so I followed them, and Tom Landry was their coach, and I absolutely loved Tom Landry and that funky hat that he had, that he wore every single week on the sidelines. And so as time went on, kept on watching, you know, the Clark in the end zone for San Francisco, ruining Dallas's chance going to the Super Bowl. I think it was Dwight Clark, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Yeah,
rest a long time ago.
Rest in peace. Yep.
From Mr. Montana.
And then Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys. And before that happened, my brother started watching the Buffalo Bills. So I was sort of halfway between the Buffalo Bills and Dallas Cowboys. And then Jerry Jones bought the team and immediately fired my coach, Tom Landry. And so the Cowboys were dead to me, absolutely dead. And so I just focused on the Bills going forward.
Yeah, so a couple of things about that. So Tom Landry was he not only was a great coach, he was one of the coolest coaches. I mean, he wore the fedora. He is actually the Mafia. I got to get one of his hats. And then he wore a suit. Just a good-looking guy, wore that hat every time. Great coach. He went to 5 Super Bowls. He won 2 of them. I think the Steelers beat him twice, unfortunately. But just a really good guy. He was the coach from 1960, first coach of the Dallas Cowboys, all the way to 1989, I believe. So 29 years, Jake. And he had, you talk about Mike Tomlin going on like winning seasons. He had 20 straight winning seasons as a head coach, which is just incredible. And then all those fantastic names that Jessica rolled off her tongue there. I mean, just some amazing players. So a really good guy. And then, Jerry Jones decides to buy the team. And the day after he buys it, he lets them go. But Jessica, let me ask you. So again, if I'm purchasing the team, the Tom Landry era was coming to an end. I mean, his last season, he was like 3-13. I think the 2 seasons prior, they had winning or losing seasons as well. So what could Jerry Jones have done a little bit different to kind of make it easier for you that would have maybe kept you as a Cowboy fan?
Understand, at that time, I'm probably 14, 15 years old.
Very impressionable.
Yes. And so, I just remember all the good years for the Dallas Cowboys under Landry. And Bill Parcells had come in for the Giants at that point, and the coaching was better in Philadelphia. Ron Jaworski was quarterback, and the guy who won Super Bowl for the St. Louis Rams, and I can't remember his name, who was coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Dick Vermeil.
Yes.
Yep.
And then you also had Washington Redskins coach
Joe Gibbs,
who is an NFL NASCAR owner at this point. And so I think he got out coached towards the end because he wasn't willing to move on and embrace that it was going to become a more passing league than a running league.
Yeah, because he was a defensive coordinator for the Giants before he got his head coaching chance at Dallas. And then, just what a run. And again, a lot of people were upset that they fired him. He said it was disrespectful. Maybe there might have been a different way they could have done it. But I think as the owner, I probably, you might, and I think the prior owner was going to do it. But this is kind of the rude thing. Jerry says, no, I want to do it. Like the previous owner was going to say, as part of the deal, Jerry, do you want me to fire him? He says, no, I want to do it. And of course, Jerry Jones wanted to bring in his guy, Jimmy Johnson, and the rest is history there. So good stuff there. Tom Landry, Jay.
You forgot one name when you were listing those defensive players. There was one name I was looking for, and I think this guy is one of the most underrated defenders of that Cowboys 80s defense, Jessica. Everson Walls. The guy was insane. Absolute ball hawk. His rookie year. Yes. His rookie year, he had 11 interceptions. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. He had 57 career picks. And, the reason why I know this off the top of my head, too, normally I do know this stuff, but I actually did, look him up the other day. I don't know why. I think I was doing a Sporkle quiz or something, but what a name. Such a good player. That defense was insane. Tom Landry obviously had a hand in that, but so many Hall of Fame players on that defense. I can understand why you'd fall in love with those guys. I thought at first you were going to say something about Golden Richards because I know that, every girl had a huge crush on Golden Richards back in the day when he played with the Cowboys because he had that, wavy hair and, pretty boy.
Not me.
I love that. You were talking right away about D-line. That fires me up. Incredible.
Yeah, so they, America's team, we joke about it now. My dad and I for years was like, who voted them America's team? We didn't get to vote. We wear the red, white, and blue. But apparently because they were on so much, Jessica, on TV, they just coined the phrase America's team because they're always on TV.
Disgusting. Disgusting. I'm glad you made the switch.
Yes, me too.
And you got in at the right time because right after that, a lot of heartbreak, but
went through the bickering bills and all that good stuff.
So
and
awesome.
And the first year that they went to the Super Bowl, I was a senior in college.
Nice.
Yeah. So just to finish up on Landry, he hated the fact that they were called America's team. He didn't want to give any juice to the other team. That lit a fire if you were playing America's team, right? And then who was their linebacker? Jacob I think it was Hollywood Hendricks was his.
Hendricks.
Okay.
Yep.
So in one of the Super Bowls against Terry Bradshaw before the game, of course, he said something to the effect that Terry is so dumb. He couldn't spell cat if you gave him C and T. And Landry was fired up about that later. I guess in his biography, he spoke about that, saying again, why would you give fire to Terry Bradshaw? Give him any more fuel. So he was upset about those type of things. Just a pretty strict coach, but a respected coach. So, rest in peace. So anyhow, let's get into. Let's say hi to the folks out there on the channel. So let's go here. We got Trek Reviewer. He says, cut or trade Cam. Cam Lewis ain't going anywhere. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
No chance.
Trek
Not
Reviewer. Come on now.
Yesterday.
He says, tight end Zach Davidson reminds me of Scott Chandler. I love that reference.
That's a great,
right
a great comp, actually, Trek Reviewer. I like that a lot.
Big L saying Buffalo Joe will make it. So when we get into those roster projections, you know what, Big L, you might be onto something there. And then yes, Brett, is that Jessica Tennis? Absolutely. I think Brett had a question for you, Jessica. So question for Jessica: why did you make your username Jessica Tennis?
Because I have been playing USTA tennis for the longest time, and I wanted to have some anonymity as far as my name goes. So everything was like Facebook, Jessica Tennis, and I was fairly good. I made it up to 4-5, if you know tennis at all, and it's basically competing against former Division I girls.
That's awesome. I did not know that. That's super cool. Well, Brett is a big tennis guy, actually. Like, he coaches tennis. Like, that's his thing. So,
yeah,
I'm sure he would love
he and
to
I
pick
have had
his
a
brain.
discussion about that before.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. The more you know.
Weston, thanks for joining us tonight. Good to see you out there. Let's see. Brett says, Joe Gibbs, a hell of a coach. Makes me miss Sean Taylor. Tom S., the season awaits. Yes, we are 2 weeks away. Less than 2 weeks away now. Weston bringing up the good old guys. Charles Haley played for both the Niners and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, did he win a Super Bowl with both?
I
think he has.
Did he?
Yes.
I want to say he has 5 or 6 rings, Charles Haley. It's insane.
Yeah, he was part of those 3 in the Cowboys, at least one of them, if not 2 of them.
Yeah. I think it was definitely 2 with the Cowboys for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just, that guy was a ring chaser and he did it well. And he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. And then we got Roy Collins saying, Dallas Cowboys, one of my least favorite teams ever. I mean, I can see why. They beat us in our last 2 Super Bowls. But, that whole NFC East division and the NFC in general back then was just, so good. I mean, they were so big, so physical. We had our shot. First Super Bowl was our shot. We missed. But, yeah, I can understand why they were one of your least favorites. But I got to tell you, because they were on TV so much, I loved watching them. I thought it was cool. I loved the rivalry between them and the Steelers. Roger Staubach, all those great names. So it's good stuff there. I don't hate them, especially after they beat us twice. But hey, I respect them. Nowadays, it's a different story. But back in the old days, I didn't mind them at all, unless they were playing our team. And then Roy saying, back in the day, there was a lot more crap talk between teams and players than there is now. You agree with that?
Yeah,
Jake?
it was. Yeah, for sure. It was a lot more dirty too back in the day. Now, here's the only caveat to that, right? So nowadays, the level of physicality and strength that these players have is so much different compared to what it was. Like, training methods have improved so much, and there's so much science that's behind things now. And maybe we see more injuries because of it, because I feel like it's maybe the workload is kind of off, but yeah, definitely back in the day, it was a totally different game. I mean, Jack Tatum was out there freaking clotheslining people. So yeah,
crazy times.
A lot of dirty hits.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. Players seemed tougher back then, Jake. I mean, there's stories. I forget who's the story of the guy who played with a broken leg or something.
I knew exactly where you're going, Jack Youngblood. Yeah, played in the Pro Bowl with a broken leg. The Pro Bowl doesn't even exist now because of the fear of injury. I mean, it's insane. Crazy.
I mean, it's sad to say. They were playing through concussions, nothing like today, right? Where they take you out. There was no concussion protocol. Those guys were going back in when they shouldn't have, but they were just tough. Tom, we haven't seen you in a long time. Thank you for the super chat. And Jessica, you want to take this one? Why did we rehire Trubisky?
Because Joe Brady probably wanted him. That's my only guess why he's on the team, is that Joe Brady saw something in him and wanted him back.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Yeah. What about you, Jake?
I think the familiarity obviously with the Buffalo Bills offense that goes a long way, and I agree with what Jessica's saying. I think definitely Joe Brady wanted him back, and I think Mitch, like when we brought him back, I was excited because like in Pittsburgh it was kind of tough. Like he had a really rough go. A horrendous offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. I mean, I didn't put all the blame on him for being as bad as he was, but we kind of got a taste of what he is now in the preseason, and he was kind of afraid to push the ball downfield. It looked like he was being very conservative, reminded me of like Trent Edwards. And am I a little concerned? Well, sure, but like if Mitch is having to come in and play meaningful football for us, that means the season is probably already down the tubes as it is. So am I that concerned about the backup quarterback position? To an extent, because you want to have a guy that you can rely on just in case. But yeah, going back to the whole Mitchell Trubisky thing, I do agree with what Jessica was saying. I think it's because he has the familiarity with the offense and was supposed to look comfortable in it. And I don't know if he does exactly, but time will tell,
If Mitch Trubisky comes in, we're going to run the ball, and then if we get stuck, Mitch is going to toss it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yep.
I want to say Roy says he's admitting he was a Tony Romo fan. He gets way too much disrespect for what he did for the team. How do you like him as an announcer, Roy? Let me know what your thoughts are on him. I actually like Tony Romo as an announcer.
I do too.
Some folks have issues with him. What about you, Jessica? You like him as an announcer or no?
He's fine as far as I'm concerned. I have no issues. Other than the fact that they say that he's a little bit lazy in terms of doing the prep work.
Big Al's out there. Where's the shirt? I'm wearing it, Big Al. Jake, why don't you give a shout out to our sponsor, Big Stitching?
Yeah.
We haven't talked about them in a while.
For sure. Yeah, Big Stitching, Embroidery, and Apparel. My cousin, John Houck, started this company about a year ago now. And he just goes to pop-up shops, flea markets, little farmers markets. And he does embroidery for, T-shirts, hoodies, hats, bags, anything you can think of. He can put a logo on it and embroider it. He also has started getting into screen printing as well. So you can send him a custom logo. I think he has rights to certain logos as well. But if you have a company, if you own a company, you can reach out to him. You can do a bulk order. You could just do a plain one-off custom order. There's a lot of great things on the site. We have it in the link provided below. And it helps sponsor our channel a little bit and, promotes his business. So it's a two-way street. It's great.
Yeah. Big Al wants to talk about the giveaway, Jake. So why don't you talk about what we're going to be doing?
Yeah, so that shirt that Mike is wearing right now, he looks fantastic in it, by the way.
Look at that. Look at that logo.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice material,
Next week, I'll adjust it so you can see it the whole time.
Yeah. So during the regular season, we will be giving away a Nickel City Mafia polo. And, in one of our shows, what we'll do is we'll actually bring up the wheel. And we're trying to decide on whether we'll do live comments or like previous comments from other shows, but we're going to put your name on the wheel. We'll spin it. And if it lands on your name, we're going to give you a t-shirt. So, or actually, I'm sorry, not even a t-shirt. It's a polo. It's a classy polo with the Nickel City Mafia logo. So if you're a golfer, it's perfect for it. And so definitely stay tuned for that. We'll be doing it every week of the regular season.
If I had enough room in the back, I guess I should do the walkway, the runway, whatever, and then kind of pose, and show it off. But
hey, I see the new haircut too, Mike. You look good.
Sporting the new haircut today. I mean, we had a special guest. I had to do it, right?
That's right.
I look my best for the special guest. But yeah, it's actually so comfortable. It fits really well. I wear a large, but it's fantastic. It's great. So I love it. And they have more merch, as you said. Like I've been eyeing that windbreaker that they have. That windbreaker, the white or the black one. I can't make up my mind, but that with the logo on it, it's just going to look fantastic. So check it out. The link is in the description of the show. Big Stitch and Embroidery. They're a Buffalo product. So not only are you supporting Buffalo, but you're also supporting this channel a little bit by buying some merch there. So check it out. And like Jake said, we'll be giving it away. Giving away some shirts. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me show real quick, if you don't mind. I'll pull it up in the window.
I'll take off the overlay because I think that blocks things. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so if you look, if you go to their website, this is the website here, Big Stitching, Embroidery, and Apparel. You go to company apparel, and look at that. We are one of 2 of his main accounts right now. So pretty fired up. If you click on the Nickel City Mafia one there, you can see there's some different, quarter zips, hats, and crew neck. There's the windbreaker right there that Mike was referencing. He's going to be adding some more options as well, but these are just some of the things that you can order, and a portion of that will actually go back to our channel. Obviously, we appreciate all of the support, and if you would like to buy one of these, have at it and feel free, because the material, I will say, Mike, too, pretty good. Pretty good.
Fantastic.
And cold weather's coming, so here we go.
I don't know. Jessica, take a look at that white one there, and then there's the black one. I can't decide between the two. I love the white one, but I'm thinking that might get a little dirty easy. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I love them both. Maybe I'll get both.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
All righty. Let me bring this back here and get us back on the right. Let's see here. It's always fun. There we go.
There we go. We're back, baby.
All right. So I'm going to ask both of you this question, but I'll start with you, Jake. Was there anyone playing yesterday who you thought had a really good shot at making the 53-man roster? And did they do enough to solidify that roster spot? Who was that person, if that is true?
This is I went back and forth with this a lot. I know the answer that a lot of people want me to give is Buffalo Joe. They want to talk about Joe Andreessen, the local kid, and everything. But my eyes were really on Tyrell Shavers. That receiver room, that has been the talk of the offseason. What's going to happen at the wide receiver position? And I think a lot of people feel very good about those initial 4 guys. And those 4 guys being Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, and probably Mac Hollins. I think he's definitely solidified a spot. But it's those other 2 to 3, depending on how many we actually keep, that you wonder, what are they going to do here? They're going to keep MVS. They're going to let him walk. They're going to keep Tyrell Shavers. They're going to keep Justin Shorter, who we drafted in the 5th round. So there's a lot of question marks around that. And I think this look of the offense is going to be something that we really haven't seen in previous years. And we have some big-bodied guys combined with those smaller, shiftier players, which I like. I like a lot. And Tyrell Shavers was a name that I was paying attention to. Mike and I actually started highlighting him about a year and a half ago. Last offseason, we talked about him a little bit. And actually even before so, when we signed him as a UDFA, we loved his size right off the bat. And he actually performed pretty well last preseason too. During the game yesterday, I thought he could have really cemented his spot by catching that touchdown pass.
Yeah.
I don't put all the blame on him. I mean, I know he probably could have made that catch. It was a tough catch to make for sure. But I think he did do enough to make this 53-man roster. So that was definitely a name that I wanted to bring up.
Okay. Well, we're definitely going to be getting into that when we go through the roster projection that we're going to do. Again, what I've done is I've got a spreadsheet that I'll be showing, and I've got all the locks. All the players are there. We've got all the locks in play already. But so we'll be talking about those bubble folks or maybe some other discussions. I got a good question for you, Jake, but we'll wait till we get there. Talk about, Jessica, what about for you? Was there someone that you thought was on the bubble playing yesterday because none of the starters were out there? And did that person solidify their spot in your mind for the 53-man roster?
I think if we're being honest here, they have made that decision before the game. Who's going to be making the team and who's not going to be making. From start of training camp until now, one game, one moment is not going to change their opinion. They've seen them in practice and everything else. They made the decision beforehand. But, it's a good way for a lot of these players to get their one last game playing football. And I think that's the most important thing for the coaches, to show their appreciation to these players.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you're right. I've heard that a couple of times that, some folks saying they've already made their decision. And yeah, there was, again, so if that's the case, these players out there are fighting for a job, making the practice squad. Yeah, go ahead.
The last time that they really came down to that last game, was between Cam Lewis and Nick McLeod.
Yeah.
And the next day, they went in practice. They went head-to-head against each other, and they chose Cam Lewis.
Best choice they could have made, Trek Reviewer. Best choice they ever made. But let's talk about some of the guys that did shine. I mean, Jake, I'll throw it to you. There's some guys that really shined yesterday, especially in that running back room. So why don't you talk about them a little bit?
Oh, yeah. It's crazy because the difference between the run game from week 1 of the preseason to week 3 is like night and day. I mean, you could have put anyone in that backfield and they could have had 100 yards rushing. Now, I will say this. I thought Frank Gore Jr., of course, ran his tail off.
Yeah.
Like he looked the part. And I was very, very impressed. He definitely surprised me. I didn't think he was going to be as good as he was, and definitely makes the decision a little more difficult in the running back room. I don't think he makes the active roster. I definitely think he's a practice squad guy. And you got to remember, too, so, just because he had a great preseason for us, we put him on the practice squad, that doesn't automatically mean that another team is going to just poach him, because that essentially means that team is going to pick him up and put him on their active roster. So, we think he's a practice squatter. I'm sure there are a lot of other teams that think he's a practice squatter. Heck, there are a lot of teams that didn't even take a chance on this kid. And sure, you get a little tape on him and you can see what he could do. But injuries are bound to happen throughout the year. And whether he goes somewhere else or we elevate him to our active roster, I think he definitely has a future in the NFL. He definitely proved that yesterday. I know he got rolled up on a high ankle sprain, something like that. But he looked really, really good yesterday. It was super impressive to me. And that running back room, I think it's I think Jessica is right with what she said, that the decision basically has already been made on who's going to make the roster. And I think yesterday what we saw out of Darrington Evans and Frank Gore Jr. was impressive, but that was more or less a battle to see of, who was going to be on the practice squad as our running back. You can keep 16, and I think we keep one running back on the practice squad, and it's probably Frank Gore Jr.
Well, yeah, I like Darrington Evans. Out of the
I did too.
Passing game, he was running well. He got dinged up, I think, what is it, hamstring, was it for him?
Yeah, hamstring, yeah.
So
when is it time to talk about the strength and conditioning staff for the Buffalo Bills? I really have to ask the question. I think we've had the same staff or a similar staff since 2013. And you look, and there is a constant theme. Impact players and all of these soft tissue injuries. And it's a little concerning, and I don't always put that like on the player. I think there is a lot that comes from the strength and conditioning program. There's a guy named Buddy Morris. He's the strength and conditioning coach right now at the Arizona Cardinals. And he's widely considered to be one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in the country, in the nation. And what he does with, load management and how he treats his program, it's second to none. I just wonder, what is happening with that strength and conditioning staff, what we're doing that is so different than these other teams that can manage to somehow stay healthy. And I know everyone suffers from injuries and they have their issues, but it just seems so much more with the Buffalo Bills. And you're almost just bracing yourself every game on who's going to leave the game with an injury. So just frustrating, man. I'll tell you.
You have any thoughts on the conditioning coaches there, Jessica?
They were the best in the league 3 years ago.
The facilities too. Yeah, they did talk about that. They were hyping that up quite a bit.
Kim Pakula brought in the thoughts of what Jessica Pakula was using as playing tennis.
Yeah.
The new age, more time off, don't overwork. And I don't know what happened.
So you think that has maybe something to do with it?
Yeah. I don't know why all of a sudden, unless it's the turf. It's, turf toe is turf toe. And two of our players have it right now. I just don't know what has happened.
Yeah. It's just the ligament injuries that's the craziest thing, right? It's there's just been, it seems like an excess, and I hate using the injury excuse, but it just seems like it happens so much more with the Buffalo Bills as of late. So I don't know.
Roy's saying our current our current 3 running backs are all better than Gore Jr. Won't make a difference if any other team signs him. I mean, this kind of goes back to Raheem Blackshear.
Yes.
Remember, Jake?
Oh, yeah.
You said this kid was going to be fantastic, and the way he played, you'd have been like, man, that a lot of people probably were like, this kid needs to make the roster. He didn't, and I think this is a similar situation. It was a cool moment for Gore to, and his dad to be there as well after having a 100-yard
Yeah, that was
game.
cool. Yeah,
that was nice, and so I think, and you got to remember who they're running against, second and third teamers. Now,
right.
that's all he's going against, and when he does go against those guys, he should shine, and he did. So I love what I saw. I know Trek Reviewer was saying early in camp that he was going to make the roster. So Trek Reviewer, I don't think that's going to happen, sir, but he definitely played his butt off to make that happen. Did you have something you want to say, Jessica?
Yes, Blackshear did get signed by the Carolina Panthers.
Oh yeah, he's their starting.
He had a good
right now.
season. I haven't followed him since, but that first season he did fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He's still there, and he's doing great. He's their number 1 return guy as of right now.
So, Trek Reviewer, I did not hear this. Did you guys hear about the umpire that got hit by a broken bat at the Yankee game earlier?
I did see an update on it. I didn't watch it. I didn't see any video on it, but it sounds brutal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Did he get impaled by it?
Oh, I don't know if I want to see it. Maybe the way he's talking,
face and neck. Yeah, it was rough.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Scary.
Speaking of the Yankees, I forgot to say this. Tom Landry was a Yankee at one time. Believe it or not. Let's see here. What else we got? Brett saying, I blame it on building the stadium on a graveyard.
Well, more of that to come.
Yeah,
I have a great video in the works for you guys. It will be released before the regular season starts, but it is all about the curse of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Hopefully we lift that curse this year.
Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Sabres, all those early Buffalo sports teams. So, Jessica, we talked about the running backs in that game. Was there anyone else, whether on the defensive side or the offensive side, that kind of stood out for you yesterday?
I thought Hamler stood out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's running back and returns, everything that he did. I don't think he's going to make the team. I think he's going to be on the practice squad as the backup return guy. And I think that's going to be Hardy's job.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But yeah, I saw, what he took that, was it a pitch or a handoff, whatever, and just got to 0 to 60. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, he put on the
he can
burners.
scoot.
Yeah, he sure could. Roy saying, sorry, I don't believe in curses. And he says, I thought it was near a cemetery, not over it.
Well, both, Roy. So old Indian burial ground.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting stuff. So, all right, Hamler. I thought that, let's see here. Who did I have? We got to see Edefwan Ulofoshio for the first time. I think it was the first time, or did he play in previous games? But I saw him out there.
He was out for the previous weeks.
Yeah, saw him making some plays. Daquan Hardy, again, Jessica, I thought he's played well anytime he's gotten a chance. So Jamarcus Ingram, who has had a fantastic preseason. Richard Garage, we're going to be talking about him, tackle. He's at, if you look at PFF and you watch the games, he was pretty darn good, Jake. This is a guy we were talking about last year when we had the sponsor Gorilla Garage, and what a match made in heaven that would be.
Right? Yeah.
Something there, Jessica?
Yeah, I think our backup offensive line could play for some teams starting.
Yeah.
I agree. They played extremely well yesterday. You saw it. There's a reason why Frank Gore had over 100 yards rushing, and it was very evident, especially in the interior. I thought those guys played really well. Tylen Grable, what a steal in the 6th round. That kid can play. Good
and
player.
He's going to be on the team as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, for sure. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. What was it? We better mention Cedric Van Pran Granger.
Oh, yeah. Listen, we'll hear about it. We will hear about it if we don't. I thought he played very well.
He did. And now if you look at our lads, he's slotted as the number 2 center. So I thought that was interesting.
Which means that Clapp is probably either going to practice squad or just going to be let go.
Yeah. It's interesting because he was playing a lot of guard too in the preseason. I felt like they wanted to try him out at guard, and then Alec Anderson, who normally does play guard, was playing center. So they kind of flip-flopped those guys. And Anderson did not impress me at all during the preseason. I felt like he just did not look comfortable at the center position. So I'm really hoping that's the case, Mike, that he is SVP is the number 2 center.
Yeah.
They wanted to cross-train them.
Yeah, definitely. I could see it. I mean, it's a good thing to have, a guy that can play 2 positions like that.
Let's see here. Trek Reviewer says Keaton Bills also played well yesterday. Just for the name alone, I mean, that's the only thing keeping him with a chance to make the roster.
Right. Yeah.
And then let's see here. Brett saying Will Clapp looks like he was clapping from the bleachers this season. You know what? It's funny because I don't have Will Clapp. I couldn't fit everyone on the spreadsheet, so I eliminated folks that I didn't think was making the team. When we get to this, if you feel like he is, let me know. We'll add him to the spreadsheet. But yeah, so we kind of talked about all the players that kind of shined. Running backs look good. There were some. Who was number 14, Jay? Because you look. It was
Deion Kane. Yeah.
No, for the wide receiver.
Yeah, Deion Kane.
Is that Deion Kane?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he's newly signed. We just brought him up. We just signed him, I think, at the beginning of the week of last week. And yeah, he's been around for a little bit. He's bigger too. He's 6'2", 202, good size. Yeah, he's not bad. He looked really good yesterday.
Another player that was playing well yesterday was Couch.
Yep.
He was all over the place.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, that definitely makes that cornerback room a little more tougher to make the projection there.
Right.
Yeah, who else was playing well? There's somebody else I wanted to mention. I felt like
had this because Deion Kane was a Clemson guy too. He followed Sammy Watkins, and of course now he's with the Bills wearing that 14. So I don't know if he'll make the team. I think he's more or less just a camp body, but good tape for other teams to look at, I guess.
I thought it was nice that they finally let these quarterbacks throw the ball. I mean, my goodness. And I thought they both looked pretty good. They both look pretty good. I know that Anthony, let me just mention some of the cuts real quick. So the Bills have already made round 1 of their cuts, phase 1, if you want to call it. Anthony Brown, quarterback, we brought in. I thought he looked pretty good, Jake. And Jessica, I thought he looked good. So he was released. Demir Bird, wide receiver, was released. Kevin Jarvis, O-line, released. Tondell Bothroyd, never heard of him. Didn't know much about him. He was released. Shane Simon, linebacker, released. Deion Jones, released. Kyron Brown, released. They did put on, I think, Dee Delaney and Terrell Burgess on the IR, and rumor has it that they're probably going to receive some type of injury settlement. So interesting stuff there. So without further ado, if you don't have anyone else you want to bring up, Jake or Jessica, as far as what you saw yesterday, why don't we get into the 53-man roster? So give me a sec to set this up, and then we'll get into things here. Jake, you got anything to share? Jessica, have you ever been to Buffalo?
I have.
Okay. Did you ever have any chicken wings there?
I can't say that I have.
Oh, man. Do you like chicken wings?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's good. That's a good start.
And
so
I do use
if you are,
blue cheese.
Oh, that's
blue cheese. Okay.
Perfect. You're a true Buffalonian then. That's great.
I'm going to be rearranging a little bit. So hold on, please. Get this going. Get this over here so we get most of the screen. Let me adjust this real quick. Move this over so we can see the total count. So as I said earlier, I've already kind of locked in some folks. And we can go through it real quick. If you disagree with me, let me know. Otherwise, there's some folks there that we're at 42 right now. I feel like we should probably, the folks that are going to be, as the new IR rule, you can designate 2 folks to return. You can do that on cut day, and those 2 don't count against your roster. So I think If we feel there's going to be one of those guys or two of those guys, maybe we got to pick 54. I'm sorry, 55, because obviously 53 plus the two that are going to go on IR. So start off with the quarterback room. Josh Allen, Mitch Trubisky. I don't think there's any question there. I know people were disappointed with Trubisky and the preseason, but I think he's a lock. The only question I have is, will he be ready day one, week one? Because the first thing I heard was maybe 2 to 4 weeks. I think that, by the time we got 2 more weeks and he's already missed a week, so it'll be close to his return. I thought Brett, let's see here. I lost you guys for a quick second. That was interesting. I thought Brett actually had a good point last night on the Ruthless show. He said, hey, Ben DiNucci will maybe be on the practice squad. And if we have to elevate him, if Mitch isn't ready, we elevate him. And then Mitch is inactive for the game. So any thoughts on that? You guys agree, disagree?
I heard that as well from Brett. I thought that was a great point that he made. Yeah. And I'm here for that all day. I think Ben DiNucci is a fine young quarterback. Not our starter, right? But serviceable. I was very confident with his play during the preseason.
Yeah. So just catching up. Trey's out there. Good to see you, Trey. He was actually sad that we released Dean Cain. Dean Cain, and a lot faster than Shavers. And let's see. Big Al saying, I think we should have gotten rid of Mitch and kept Brown. And let's see here. I think that catches up. All right. So Josh Allen, Mitch Trubisky, there you go. There's your two quarterbacks. And, of course, I think Ben goes to the practice squad. And then let's get into the running back room. So James Cook, obvious, lock. Ray Davis, lock. I know some people were even talking yesterday, oh, maybe Ty Johnson doesn't make it. Maybe Frank Gore Jr. does. But Ty Johnson's done nothing. Since he's been on our team, he's done nothing but good things.
Yes.
Good things. Anytime he's been on the field and gotten a ball, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. It's been fantastic. I don't know why you would think he would not have that job, not have that locked. You agree? Just stop me.
I think the value he offers as a returner too. That fits the Bills' motto. So I feel like we keep him over Frank Gore Jr.
All right.
Last year he was such a great addition to the team running the ball.
Yeah. I had no fear when he came into the game. I mean, and everything was always positive. He was always moving forward, whether it was catching the ball or running. So those three are locks. Now, Jake, I have to have a serious conversation with you. Reggie Gilliam. Is it time that we just say, you know what, we need to move on from the fullback and maybe bring on a Darrington Evans and Frank Gore Jr.? I mean, how many teams are actually having fullbacks? I looked at Reggie's stats over the past 4 years, and I mean, he's a tight end / fullback.
I'll tell you what.
I'm laughing here because it's hard for me to keep a straight face. This was just a little bit of a joke. I know Reggie Gilliam's a lock, but still, gotta say, seriously, Jake, we got to keep a fullback. Come on.
You got to up the utilization of this guy. He's an athlete. He plays on special teams. Anytime he is involved in a play, more often than not, it goes well. So I feel like he just needs to get more opportunities because he can catch the football. He can actually run routes. We just don't use him enough. And he's actually a pretty darn good lead blocker too. Let's use a little traditional eye or strong eye. Let's do something special with them back there.
I think Joe Brady's going
to underutilization.
Yeah, I think Joe Brady's going to use him a lot more this year.
Oh, music to my ears, Jessica. I love hearing stuff like that. I hope
his real value is special teams. That's why they have him, is they know that he's solid on special teams.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Trek Revere, he says Gilliam makes it, but not Cam. Come on, Trek. Cam plays special teams too. He plays everything.
That's right.
I'll bet you Cam could play fullback if he needed to. I'm just saying.
I don't know about that. I think he put it popped.
Well, let's just say this. He'd put it all on the line if he had to. That's the type of guy he is.
He would.
Is a UV
Still
guy.
Working on that interview, by the way, with Cam Lewis. I messaged him again.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Yeah, Trey saying Ty Johnson has more juice than Frank Gore. Gore Jr. has good contact balance, but isn't an athlete.
I agree.
Isn't an athlete.
He is a this sounds bad. Don't take this the wrong way. He is like his dad. He is a very fundamental, reliable football player. Ty Johnson is a freak athlete. I think he ran high 4.2s, low 4.3s. This dude can fly. And he is an athlete in every sense of the word, where he is a multiple threat guy. Frank Gore Jr. is not a guy that's going to catch passes out of the backfield, return kicks, do everything that Ty Johnson does. So that's the biggest difference between the two of them.
And he's young still, right? He's like, what,
26?
Yeah,
he's 26, 20. Yeah.
Young guy.
Right.
There's not a lot of miles on those wheels right now, so I love that too.
Yep.
Roy says, by the time Cam Lewis leaves Buffalo, he'll have the key to the city. Absolutely. I love it.
Let's go, Roy. I love that.
Now we're talking facts. Come on.
Uh-huh.
All right. So I think that kind of, for me, and that's a lock on the running back room. Again, you could have put Gilliam in the tight end room as well, but I think they're only going to keep 4. Let me see what you guys have to say on that one.
Yeah, I think it's 4, and then Frank Gore Jr., I believe, will be on the practice squad.
And Darian Evans, with his injury, is not going to make practice squad. If he gets healed up, then they might put him back on the practice squad.
Right. I agree.
He looked good. Wasn't he a former 3rd rounder, I believe?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I believe it was a 3rd round pick. I was just going there, Mike.
Yeah.
Out of App
there were
State.
a lot of App State, yeah. And there were a lot of rumors saying that he was going to be the guy to replace Derrick Henry there in Tennessee. And injuries, again, kind of caught up with him, and he just never got that opportunity. Always has shown a little bit of juice, and I think gave people confidence that he could do it, but then something would happen, you know? And I think the hamstring has been a reoccurring issue with him throughout his career. So it is unfortunate because I think he can do it. It's just availability, right?
Yeah, 100%. All right, so let's move on. And again, if we need to see how other position groups work out, we can always come back to one. But let's move to what I think is a little bit of a difficult choice here, and that's the wide receiver room. I think the locks for sure are Kean Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins. Yeah. And I heard somebody say, if Mac Hollins is like, for right now, if our starting 3 receivers, Mac Hollins is one of them, somebody says, that says a lot. The Buffalo Bills are in trouble. I don't agree. I like Mac Hollins. Big physical receiver, great leader in the locker room. I love what he brings. And he's probably just there until Coleman gets it going, right? Let Kean come in there, get used to things, and before you know it, Kean Coleman's the starting. So I don't know which one of the 2 will be that starter, but I think those 4 are an absolute lock. Agree or disagree?
Totally agree.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So here's where things get interesting. MVS and Tyrell Shavers. And Jessica, do we keep both?
Yes.
Okay.
We keep both. MVS. We need somebody to stretch down the field eventually. I think he's going to miss the first 2 weeks. And then after that, he'll go in, run down, stretch the field, and open up the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I do love what he brings there. Jake, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm trying to find a way to like spin this so MVS doesn't make the team, but I feel like he's going to make the team just based on like pedigree. And I'm not saying he has like this phenomenal career coming up into this. Like he is as 50-50 as it gets, like literally 50-50. Actually, I think he's been like high 40s the last few years. So, and I'm talking target to catch ratio. Yeah, I think he does make the team. Although I was impressed by some other guys, KJ Hamler, Xavier Johnson, Deion Kane yesterday. But to me, those guys are all going to qualify as practice squatters. Now, I will say this. Justin Shorter for sure did not do enough for me this preseason to even warrant a practice squad spot, which is hard to say because, like, this is, 5th round pick, a guy that you wanted to invest in a little bit, but I just was not impressed. And these other guys, Xavier Johnson, you talk about, undrafted free agent, was more impressive to me than Justin Shorter was. So I don't think he's even on the team in any way, shape, or form.
That's the one I thought was wearing 14. So I guess I was wrong on that one.
No, so Shorter's 18.
No, I mean the Xavier Johnson.
Oh, Xavier Johnson. He's 16, I think.
16. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So Weston, what I like about MVS, obviously, like Jessica said, I love that he can stretch the field. We need that so bad, and he can do it. And we've seen him do it on other teams. Again, he's been known for his drops. We've seen him drop in camp, preseason, and but come playoff time, we'll keep him around until playoff time, and then we'll launch him into the game. But yeah, I love what he brings there. Tyrell Shavers is the question mark for me. I guess he's one guy you can say because they played him yesterday. And I don't know, like you said, that touchdown for me, I think a wide receiver, professional wide receiver should make that catch all day. I could be wrong, but I think I can make that catch. I'm just saying. And I was out playing football with my kid today, and I had to make some catches like that. So come on. But he's looked good in camp. He's shined. We've talked about him, Jake, in the past, being threw his name out early in the offseason. So I think he does make the team.
Yep.
You
think he doesn't make the team?
No, he does.
Oh, okay. I thought I misheard you. I'm like, no way.
Sorry, no, he does. I know.
Gotcha.
I know.
Shaver's going to make the team just to play special teams.
Okay.
Right.
That's my opinion. That's all they're going to use him for is special team. Use him as a gunner. Get down the field.
He's what they wanted Justin Shorter to be, I feel like. And
yes, and Shorter might squeak in as the 7th, but he'll just play special teams. Just like Sharan Neal for the last 3 or 4 years, just playing as a gunner and very little otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting with this new kickoff rule, right? Which everyone's adjusting, and I can't wait to see it. And I mean, we've seen it in the preseason, but I don't think anyone was showing their hand about what they're going to do there. So it's going to be a little different from what they've taught people in the past for special teams now, right? It's completely different. You're only 5 yards away versus having a running start and all the different things you can do when you have a running start from the 35-yard line. Now they're 5 yards apart. Can be different. I don't know if I feel like the bigger guys, you got to have some speed guys there as well, but I can't wait to see that in action.
I do wonder. So Brett's talking about, don't be surprised if we bring in another veteran wide receiver after cuts. There's some guys on the Broncos that I like. So it's interesting because I was just curious, just available free agent wide receivers right now. And I couldn't think of a ton off the top of my head, but just a few guys that came to mind. Different build than a lot of these bigger, taller players that we were talking about. But Hunter Renfro's a name, more of a slot receiver, but a guy that's produced in the past. I felt was sort of dealt a rough hand with Josh McDaniels as the head coach there in Las Vegas. Can still play, and he's relatively young. Another guy that was just released and probably is past his prime, but maybe an interesting name, Juju Smith-Schuster. That was another name. Then you got, of course, the Michael Thomases, the Corey Davises, who just filed his reinstatement papers, who did have a workout with the Bills. So those are just some names of guys that are currently available now. And I'm wondering, do any of those guys serve a better purpose on the Buffalo Bills than someone on our current roster right now?
I personally don't think so, Jake, only because, these players that are on our roster, at least they've been through training camp and, they've been getting used to the system. And the players you mentioned, Corey Davis kind of interests me only because I felt he retired way too young. But again, he struggled. I mean, he had some good years, really good years. And I'm not sure why he retired when he did. But other than the rest of the names, Juju Smith-Schuster, no, it doesn't. It's not somebody who excites me, any of those players. I feel like let's roll with what we have now. Shaver's been with us for a couple years now, right? Two training camps.
This is his second year.
Yeah,
second year.
2 training camps. And so he's learned the system. And again, so I'd rather roll with what we have right now. Just my opinion.
I like that name, Brett. Brandon Johnson from the Broncos. You think he'll get cut? Because he showed some promise last year, especially down the stretch. I mean, he looked really good. There were moments that I'm like, man, this guy's a starting receiver in the NFL. He had like 4 tuds last year.
Yeah. Brad, I saw your question about Bass, and we'll get to it when we get to the special teams. We'll talk about that. So remind me, Jake and Jessica, because I'll probably get sidetracked and forget. Brett says, what's his question here? Question for the panel. Do the Bills have an issue at kicker with Tyler Bass on a day with perfect conditions? How do you miss a kick like that? So we'll talk about that when we get to special teams. All right. Jake, we're going to talk about it. Look at our friend
Chad. Oh my goodness.
Hello, lady and gentlemen. I have 2 questions. Do you think Bryce Young, thank you so much for bringing that up, because I meant before we got over to this, I wanted to ask both Jessica and Jake about Bryce Young. Do you think Bryce Young looked and played better than he did last year? So that's the first question. You know what? Because it's so weird, I'm going to toggle this off so you guys can talk real quick. Jessica, I'll go to you first on that question.
I think Bryce Young was playing against third stringers, and so he should look better than playing against the first string defense. I would love to have seen how he did against our starting defense. Otherwise, I don't think that he has an offensive line that's going to be able to protect him, and that's what he was lacking last year. You won't know that until he gets protected.
Yeah, good points. Jake, let me throw it to you for your thoughts on that. But remind me, what did he do last year? I know he got hurt. How early did he get hurt? What happened with him last year? And then he kind of answered Chad's question.
So last year, I think he played in almost every game, I want to say, Mike.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, it was like I think it was only one game he missed because Andy Dalton played in that one game, and he looked miles better than Bryce Young did in that offense. But I think it was only one game that he missed. Statistics were not good. I mean, especially in a passing league. And, I know he didn't have the greatest targets per se, but Adam Thielen still caught 100, however many passes, 103 passes last year, right? He was also sacked like 60-something times last year, which is just, David Carr vibes. I mean, it's not pretty, right? Which, that could really ruin a guy's career. So last year, I think, is kind of a wash. Now you bring in the quarterback whisperer, Dave Canales, which I think, obviously he's been able to resurrect Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, now maybe Bryce Young. The only thing is, like Jessica said, does he have an offensive line that's going to be able to protect him? This guy was sacked, so I got the numbers here. 62 times he was sacked last year. That's insane. That's an obnoxious amount of times. That's almost 4 times a game that he played. He played in 16 games last year. That definitely concerns me, especially with how little he is. Like, there's not much to him, right?
No, he's short, tiny.
Yeah. And I agree. I think yesterday it was a case of him playing against second and third string players on defense, right? I don't think it was. It was good. It looked good. They looked sharp. Yep. But put things into perspective. It was starters against a second and third unit. So take it with a grain of salt.
Can I talk about Alabama and Ohio State quarterbacks?
Yes.
Going to the NFL.
Yeah.
Alabama, Ohio State gets a pick of quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama has only one in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And that's Broadway Joe.
Yep.
The problem is if you play at Ohio State, you play at Alabama, you're playing with the best wide receivers. They get open. They get separation. They have an offensive line that protects the quarterback, opens up holes for the running backs. The quarterbacks just have to throw it out there, and they're going to go. And when I'm looking at a quarterback, I want somebody who has been not in the best situation, who has a poor offensive line, who has had inferior wide receivers. And unless you have that, you don't grow as a quarterback. And so I think, that's the problem with Alabama and Ohio State quarterbacks, is that they don't get challenged.
That's extremely well put. And you know what's funny? You literally just described Josh Allen. That's the type of quarterback you're looking for. A guy that wasn't
Aaron
in a good
Rodgers,
situation.
too. Aaron Rodgers. Mahomes at Texas Tech.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah,
very well put, Jessica.
That was explained extremely well. I never thought of it like that, honestly, until you said that. So great stuff there. And Jake loves that you're talking college football. Jake.
Yeah.
Jake
hey, week 0. We're coming off week 0. Huge upset yesterday. I think every underdog covered as well. I saw even Delaware State covered, and they had a bus issue where they couldn't get to the airport on time. They had to fly to Hawaii. I don't know if you saw that, Jessica, but wild. But you know what we
All right.
always say? Good teams win games. Great teams cover. How about it?
Nice.
We're
So
back.
let's get to. I hate that I'm covering you, beautiful people, up. So real quick to Chad again. Chad, thank you so much. $20. We
Yeah,
love
Chad, you're
the
unbelievable,
support. You've been on the show a few times. We absolutely love you guys. By the way, you know, Chad and Weston, they're Chiefs fans and they're on our Discord. They support this channel. We love them. If you ever want to join the Discord, it's absolutely free. There's a link in the description of this show. Join us. We talk sports 7 days a week. Got all kinds of threads in there. We got a Finns thread. We got a Chiefs thread. Of course, we got the Bills, fantasy football, all kinds of good stuff. But his second question, Jake, and I'll let you start with this one. Is there a player on the Buffalo roster that will be on the team instead of being cut or on practice squad and vice versa?
So the way I'm reading this question is there a player on Buffalo roster that will be on the team instead of, so like a player
Maybe a bubble
that
player?
maybe we either think should or should not be on the team and ends up making it, and then vice versa. So with that being said, I think a player, an interesting name is Lyle Collins. What are they going to do there, right? He's a guard. He offers the ability to play both guard and tackle. Didn't necessarily look great at times. Other times he looked okay. And I think he's going to actually end up possibly making the Buffalo Bills roster as our backup guard.
Okay.
I do. Yeah. I think he actually makes it over Alec Anderson. So that's a name to me that I think will be more of a surprise, especially because I think his best years of football are well behind him. And then a name that doesn't make the team that probably should, it's going to be from that cornerback room. It's either going to be Jamarcus Ingram or Takori Couch, because they both played fantastic in the preseason. So I think that's what I got for you. What do you think, Jessica?
I don't think Collins makes the team.
Okay.
Personally.
I hope not.
But,
I don't want him to.
He still needs
just
to
heard
heal
murmurs.
from his Achilles tear.
Yeah, you could tell.
He doesn't have the mobility right now. I think they'll say to him, hey, let's put you on the practice squad, let you heal, let you get quicker and better, and hopefully by mid-season you're ready to go if we need you.
I hope so. I really do, because I do not want him on this team. I've just seen other, people throwing his name out there saying that maybe he will actually make the squad. And I'm like, that is disgusting. I don't want this. Again, best years of football, well behind him.
Of course, Buffalo Joe, I think, is going to make the team.
All right. Don't get ahead too far. We're going to go through these groups here.
Well, I'm answering his question.
Right.
I totally agree with you as well. Big L said that right off the bat when he joined us tonight. He says, I think Buffalo Joe makes the squad. But we'll talk about that because it's interesting, because his game yesterday wasn't so good. But Dorothy, good to see you. Dorothy Hunter saying, are we using Tyler Bass as a scapegoat? I feel like if Bass made the kick in the Chiefs game, we wouldn't be dragging him for every missed kick. So we're going to talk about Bass. Promise you, because another person just asked a similar question. When we get to the special teams, we'll be bringing that up. So, and again, Jake and Jessica are going to remind me and make sure that we answer those questions for you. Let's see here. So thanks again, Chad. Great questions. Appreciate you as always. Let me catch up. I think we did. Let's see. Discord is going to pop off. Ravens coming for revenge. All right. Well, let's get back to this. So I think we're a lock right now. We have 6 wide receivers making it. We may change our mind. Like I said, we could come back to this. Is if we go down the list and all of a sudden we're over the number, we're going to have to make some tough choices here. But let's get to the tight end room. Obviously, Kincaid and Knox are a lock. Quentin Morris hadn't gotten injured. And again, does anyone have the current status of Quentin Morris?
No.
I haven't seen anything about that. Yeah.
Question is, does he need surgery?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So I had heard if he needed surgery, it could be like the whole season or something like that. All right. So I don't know. That's kind of a big wild card right there. So I didn't give him a lock. If he hadn't gotten hurt, I think he's a lock. Zach Davidson, I like what I have seen of him. He had a decent game yesterday. I made one really nice one-handed catch. That was fantastic. But otherwise, really, I mean, hasn't really shined too much, but you were hearing a lot of good things out of camp from the beat writers that were there watching him. And so I'll go to you, Jessica. Quentin Morris, Zach Davidson. Do we keep both or one or what?
I think I think Morris makes the team. I don't think he has surgery, and we go with the status quo of having 3 tight ends. So I don't think Davidson makes the team, gets asked to be on practice squad, and he gets called up hopefully 3 times during the year so that he gets a year of service in the NFL.
So, question, Jessica. So we know the new rule, right? You can designate 2 people to go on the IR to return. And we know we're going to use one of those in Milano. You get 8 total for the year. You can only use 2 on cut day. If again, we don't know Quentin Morris, but could the situation be where Quentin Morris is one of those guys and Zach Davidson makes the team briefly until he's back?
I think it's surgery, he's out, or he's there week 1.
Okay.
Because McDermott said that everybody's trending to be ready by week 1. And that's still 2 weeks away. And the injuries happened a week ago. So they'll have 3 weeks to get ready.
Okay. Well, again, we'll just have to wait and see what we hear again, because it's I dislike how they're just never like they know what's wrong with them. Why haven't we heard more about it? If you're trying to surprise somebody with Quentin Morris, he's, oh my God, is Quentin Morris going to play? We're scheming. We don't know. We need to know this information. Jake, what's your thoughts here? Is it Quentin, or is it everything we just kind of said? It depends on what type of injury that is and how long.
100% agree with what Jessica said. It's going to be the status quo, those 3 guys. And then Zach Davidson will be a practice squatter who maybe will be called up based on injuries. And Dawson Knox, too, very injury prone. Hopefully he stays healthy himself.
All right, so we're going to lock in Quentin Morris for now. Well, again, with the caveat, we don't know the true injury that he has. I would hope that they would come out with that soon. But assuming that he's ready to go, it's Quentin Morris. Not letting him. We're not choosing Davidson over Quentin Morris based on what we saw.
Right. You're right. Actually, Roy, we were missing Trey McKitty on there. Now, let's talk about him yesterday. He made a really nice catch off of Ben DiNucci. It just looked like a lazy throw by DiNucci, but Trey McKitty making a play as an athlete. You think there's any shot that he makes the practice squad, Jessica?
I don't know. I would hope so. It's 16 players or 17 players because we have the international player.
Right.
And so he might, but I think he's on the edge of yes and no.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question, Roy, I purposely left them off because I was looking at trying to help us get this done a little shorter. But if you guys love to keep us here all night, which we love as well, I kept him off the list because I knew he wasn't going to make the team, or at least in my opinion. So, I mean, we had Quentin Morris, Zach Davidson. Of course, you got Jake Sky, Reggie Gilliam, who can play tight end in a crunch as well. So
that's right.
I just don't think he makes now. I'm glad you talked about him and brought him up, but that's why he's not on the list. Sorry, Roy. I couldn't fit everybody.
I did feel like he had a strong preseason, though. I will say he had a nice showing. Definitely. Yeah. I think it was Trey that said he actually felt he played better than Davidson over the course of the preseason, which I kind of agree in some ways.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to let's get over to the old line. And I broke them up at center. Connor McGovern's a lock, obviously. Cedric Van Pran Granger is a lock, obviously. Now, here's something you said, Jake, because I had, based on what I've seen, Alec Anderson being versatile, I felt like he was a lock, but you're
Anderson's
saying,
a lock.
Okay, Jessica's saying a lock?
He is going to play the tight end position when we go heavy. And that was announced on Bill's drive.
Okay. So he'll be the David Edwards of last year.
Yes, what Edwards did and what Tommy Doyle did. And
Right. Yeah. I could see it. Yeah, I could see that. they have a lot of confidence in him. I mean, you could tell. And I think you're right in a way, Jessica. They were probably cross-training a little bit, just seeing, if he could play the center position. Yeah, what the heck, Mike? Disrespecting Trey McKitty like that.
I'm sorry. I was actually trying to help, you guys like have maybe a 2-hour show instead of a 4-hour show. Sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have. Sorry, Roy. No disrespect meant. I hope the young man goes on to he's either on a practice squad or goes on to have a great career. As long as he doesn't beat us in a game. That's all.
Right. Yeah.
I can just hear the chants in the stands. Kitty, 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 kitty.
Yeah. Could you see it? Like, I could see all the people dressing up as cats and things like that. How funny.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
All right. So at the center position, did someone mention Keaton Bills? Does Keaton Bills make the squad?
No.
Practice squad. He played well. I thought he did a nice job yesterday, but I think he's a practice squad at best.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Let's move to the guard. Obviously, David Edwards and Osiris Torrance are a lock.
Mm-hmm.
And again, some of these guys, it just depends what site you look at. Like PFF has them as a center. Maybe they're listed as a guard on our lads, but they're in here somewhere. But let's go to the guard. And the two that are a lock, as I mentioned, are Torrance and Edwards. Jessica, of those other three, anyone make the team there?
I don't think anybody else makes the team. Collins is the only question mark. Like I said earlier, he's injured. Doesn't have the mobility. I'm sure that the Dean has sat down with him and said, hey, go to our practice squad. You already have guaranteed money. Maybe you can help us mid-year after you get your mobility back.
So Jessica, who's our backups then at guard?
Our backups are Alec Anderson and Alec Anderson and
Will Clapp.
No, Clapp's not going to make this team, but Anderson is, and the other center VPG is going to be
Cedric Van Granger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what will happen is if one of them gets hurt, there might be a shift in the line where McGovern kicks out and Edwards, that's what I'm
that's a
thinking.
good point. That's a great point right there. That would be Sean's dream to have Connor have to go back to left guard and
it would. Yeah, he'd be fired up. Yeah.
He's already predicted. He says by I don't know what, week 4 or 5, he's got him coming in. But that's great, Jessica. So I was a little concerned there with that, but like you said, there's the versatility of some of these players really makes a big difference. So I love that. Jake, anything other than what Jessica said?
I think the only thing is right now this would have us at 8 offensive linemen. I think we keep 9, and I think Tylen Grable probably makes it on that list. And I agree. I think, and I know what I said earlier about the Lyle Collins situation. I would tend to agree. I don't think he should make the active roster. I think it should be Tylen Grable. And based on what you said, Jessica, I was actually not aware of that, the Alec Anderson thing. So that is interesting. So with that being said, he probably will make the team. So I think Tylen Grable is the final piece there.
All right. So you're dismissing our guy, Garage.
I know.
Goes back to
think
the
Grable played
squad.
better. Yeah, right. I think practice squad for sure for Richard Garage.
Yeah, he had a good camp. He had a good preseason. So I don't know. I always worry about tackles. You don't think anyone's gonna snag him off that practice squad based on what they saw? Tackles are
maybe. Yeah.
From what you saw, you didn't see enough to have another team poach him. Then again, I think Bean talks to the New York Giants and says, hey, this kid can play if you need him.
Yeah.
And they work together.
Okay.
That probably will happen. And we've seen it. I mean, they've been poaching from our practice squad quite a bit. That's a close relationship, which is cool. Brandon Bean's a fair man. It's
good for the players,
For sure. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
All All right, good stuff there. Let's move on to the tackle position, which I think we've already locked that in. Honestly, if you're saying the numbers, what'd you say, Jake? Nine guys on O-line?
Yeah, so it would be 9
Yeah.
total offensive linemen. Yep.
So you got Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, a lock, Ryan Van DeMark, and you guys said Tylen Grable. Are we good there?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to a room that also the edge.
Shouldn't Austin
Russo.
Johnson be down on the D tackle line?
Yes, he should.
Where's he? Where do I have him?
You
And
got
the
him
edge.
on edge there. Yeah.
Okay. Let me get.
He did play as a 3-4 edge, so
it might have been
he probably
again,
is
like I
listed
said,
at that.
depending on
Yeah.
the site that I used. So he could be listed here. So that's it. So we'll keep him there, but just knowing that what you just said, he could be an edge player as well, and maybe that is where he plays. But right
in
now,
New York,
I have,
he actually had his best year as a 3-4 edge.
okay.
But yeah.
So edge locks Russo, of course, AJ Epinesa, Austin Johnson, Javon Solomon, Von Miller, of course. There's a tough one for you guys. Smoot or Kingsley Jonathan?
As far as I'm concerned, both.
Both?
Smoot's a guarantee as
He's
far
a
as I'm
stud.
concerned.
I like Dwayne Smoot. I actually think he should start over AJ Epinesa, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
He was way more impressive to me than, he was, for sure. And I misspoke. He was, Austin Johnson was an end, not an edge, a 3-4 end in New York.
Gotcha.
Edge would be a stand-up linebacker, 3-4 end.
And Kingsley Jonathan and Solomon are going to be either healthy scratches or playing special teams. And that's basically what they're going to be doing all year long. Unless there's injuries.
Definitely. They will probably keep Jonathan specifically for that special teams piece. So agreed.
So sorry.
And Smoot can move into D tackle, and so can Russo go and play D tackle. They need them to.
All right. There are two that were over here hiding, Casey Tuhill and Klein. Any thoughts on them?
What do you think, Jess?
Did not show enough. Did not move up the ladder at all. Beyond, if they can't, I don't think they beat out Kingsley Jonathan at all.
Especially with the game that he had last week. I think Kingsley Jonathan, after having maybe one of his worst games in week 1, huge bounce back performance against Pittsburgh. And I think he definitely did enough. Cameron Klein would be an argument. Like, I think there were some moments where it's like, okay, this kid can play, but that has practice squad written all over me.
All right, we're getting close. We got 49 people making this squad right now. And let's get into the defensive tackles. Obviously, Ed Oliver, Dwayne Carter, Daquan Jones, I believe, are locks. They are locks. I don't believe they are locks. I'll throw it to you guys for the other 1, 2 that you think may be a lock here. So, Jake, why don't you start on this one?
I think the only one on this list is Deshaun Williams that makes it. I think the rest are at best practice squad.
If we go with what we have right now, that makes 11, and 11's just too much.
That's a lot. Yeah.
I think that the edge and D tackle is going to be 10 at the most. So
I agree.
I think Deshaun Williams cannot play special teams. And that's the difference between Kingsley Jonathan and Solomon. They both can. And so I think Williams does not make the team.
That's fair. Actually, yeah, because this would be 11, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Oh, so you think Deshaun Williams does not make it?
I think he goes to practice squad, or it gets picked up by somebody else.
Yeah, this is tough now.
Good with that?
This is tough because I think it does come down to, if they're making this decision, it's probably between Kingsley Jonathan and Deshaun Williams. What do they want to do? But because Kingsley Jonathan offers that special teams value, you're probably right. 11 is a lot to keep there for the defensive line. That just seems like a number that the Bills would not have with the D-line. They don't like to keep more than 10 at anything. So, I would say this is probably right.
All right. Remember, we're gonna have a final pass after we get them all locked in here.
Yeah.
Brett's been yelling at us. I didn't notice 2 number 5s, but maybe Jake you can answer his questions so he doesn't keep yelling at us. I can't believe you guys
Yeah, it
aren't
was
going to talk about the 2 number 5s.
Anthony Brown, and Kyrie Elam yesterday.
And Anthony Brown, I never heard of the guy. Who is he?
Came from Oregon, was with Baltimore. I think he played a little bit in Oakland or Las Vegas, Oakland. He looked good yesterday. I was very impressed with the quarterback play from both of our guys. I mean, it was a good audition tape for him. Was it enough to, keep him over Mitch Trubisky? I don't think so. But, yeah, I think Ben DiNucci for sure, did enough in the 2 games and has the experience already where it's worth keeping him on the practice squad. So, yeah, Anthony Brown, not bad.
I did not. Okay. I did see him. I didn't realize he was wearing number 5.
Yeah.
How dare you wear number 5? Kyrie Elam has that locked. Come on now.
Right. Yeah.
Roy Collins saying Smoot is greater than Jonathan. I think that's
for sure. Oh yeah. Dwayne Smoot, like I said, could be the starter at defensive end for us over AJ Epinesa.
After we talked about like one of our shows, Epinesa, we talked about I think it was the last one where he just hasn't made any splash plays, whereas other folks are. And somebody said, well, was it you, Jessica, out there saying he just doesn't want to get hurt? Might have been you. Just trying to take it easy and not get hurt, get through the preseason.
Yeah, I think any of the starters, if they're smart, are protecting their legs and arms and whatever else. You see what happened to Milano in practice. You don't want to put yourself in a position to get hurt and ruin your career on a meaningless game.
Yeah. Sometimes I've heard, though, if you're trying to be like that and protect yourself, you typically will get injured. And like if that's the case, then maybe they shouldn't play them. But it's funny. The reason I brought that up is because the next day, I think it was Cover One. Cover One had they did a quick show on Epinesa where they had a big Epinesa disappointed, and they had Groot something positive. So I didn't watch the show. Did you catch that one, Jessica?
I did not catch that one, but I can understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Because Groot had a fantastic game last week. And I just, preseason games are preseason games for a reason and does not mean anything. What happens in practice means a heck of a lot more than the games do.
Okay.
That's true.
Well, we have big hopes for AJ Epinesa, and I think he's going to have to step up this year and, get to the quarterback, get those sacks. We expect him to have a higher snap count, unless, Jake, he doesn't win the starting position. Then he'll pretty much have the same snap counts that he's had previous years. So that's going to be interesting. But here's Roy. He's saying Kingsley Jonathan is so overrated by some Bills fans.
Yeah.
He had a good, he had a good preseason, really good preseason.
Yeah. I've seen things from him where it's like, okay, this kid can play in the league, right? Other times not so much, but I think he's done enough to solidify a spot on this roster.
All right, let's move along here to the linebacker crew. Now, obviously, Matt Milano is going to be one of those designated to return.
Yes.
Do you remember when are they saying he could potentially return? How soon?
December.
Yeah. So that would put us to week 13.
And hopefully the 1st of December instead of December 25th.
Right. Yeah.
So him returning really depends on how the Bills are doing, but okay, cool. I like that. But he'll be one of those designated folks. So he's going on the practice squad. So at this point, I'm sorry, not practice squad, IR.
He's going on reserve pup.
Reserve pup, as they call it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he can come back after 4 weeks. If you go on this designated return, you have to be out a minimum of 4 weeks. And then I think you have up to 3 weeks once you're brought off to return, something like that.
21 days.
Yeah. Okay. So Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams are locks. And here we go. Joe Andreessen, the big feel-good story. Week 2, lit it up. Was fantastic. One of the highest grades in PFF. Yesterday, not so much. But I say that's because who was in front of him. It
Mhm.
matters who you're playing with. And again, we have such good D linemen and that open up things for our linebackers. And that just wasn't happening yesterday. Now, you could argue to me and say Mike Stilly needs to make a play and shine. But for me, it's the first guy I'm going to say first. I think he's a lock. I'll throw it to you, too.
Oh, that's tough. The real question is, how many do we keep? Do we keep 5 or 6? Because in the past,
I think we're keeping 5.
Yeah, I do too. Just based on our safeties too, because like that's an area of concern.
This is the big question.
And out of these,
Jay.
so that's the thing. But Balin Spector is also injured himself. So do we designate him for return? I don't know how serious it is. That's the thing. I don't know if it's.
This is my thought on it. If Spector is not on the active roster, he's on IR.
Mm-hmm.
If Spector is on the active roster, I think Nick Moreau is on the practice squad as a vet, and he can just sit there. He's already got guaranteed money. I think $1.4 million.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think the rest of them make the team.
Maybe we can make this easy. So Edifwan Ulufosio, I think makes
definitely a lock.
He's a lock, right?
Yeah. Yes, he was considered the best zone linebacker coming out of the draft.
Yep,
and that's exactly what we needed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to see a lot of him because he was a little dinged up. But yeah, I heard nothing but good things. So, and we drafted him. What was he? What round did we get him in? Fifth round.
Fifth round.
So
yeah, he's a fifth rounder.
Definitely not going anywhere.
All the fifth rounders make this team.
Yeah.
So, did you say all of them make it?
I'm saying that Buffalo Joe makes it.
Okay.
And either Spector will make the team, or it'll go on IR, or Nick Moreau will make the team, or go onto the practice squad. It's one of the two.
Jake, okay. I got a rebuttal. I got to ask this question. Is it time to cut bait with Balin Spector? The man can't stay healthy. I mean, he came in a little heavier, looked like he was like working on the weights, but dude gets hurt again. So I don't know if you give him a roster spot.
It's tough because remember last year I actually had him as a cut.
Yes, you did.
And this is not helping his case, right? I think he still has to be on this roster, though. I just feel like the familiarity with the defense is now year 3.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's banged up, but I feel like just going off of how the Bills' typical thought process is, I feel like he's going to make this team. And whether it's the IR thing or he's on the 53-man, he's going to be in a Bills uniform this year. So I think he's a lock. But again, I don't really know how bad that injury is right now. Oh man, this is tough between Nick Moreau. I didn't see anything from Nick Moreau, and I know he's a veteran, right? And
they did not play him in the game yesterday.
Yeah,
which says to me that they plan on keeping him on the team. If they didn't, if they played him yesterday, like they did with Jones, would have signaled that he's not going to make the team.
Mm-hmm. So
we're locking in Joe. I'm only saying that.
Yes.
I know, Jake, you're hesitant, but Jessica and I, it's a lock. We got to go.
Let's lock him in. Let's lock him in. I'm here for it. Let's do it. I love it.
Nick Morrow, I kind of agree with you guys. I think there's just, he had a really good year last year. He's got that veteran leadership. I think you want that. So I'm thinking Morrow makes it.
Yes. That's where I'd lean, is Morrow makes it.
So let's lock him in. And then Balin Spector.
Balin Spector is going to go, in my opinion, on the IR. And because we're going to use the other reserve pup for somebody else later on, I think Reed Ferguson is going to be back in the parking lot on Tuesday.
So I want to ask this question because again, maybe I'm misunderstanding the new rules. It used to be a player had to make the roster, the active roster, and they would go tell people to be out in the parking lot waiting or whatever. And then they would be put on IR right away, and then somebody would be signed to the active roster. Now with the new rule, like I said earlier, you can designate up to 2 to return that first day on the cut, so Tuesday. And we already know Matt Milano's one of them.
Yes.
Quentin Morris would probably be the other one, but I don't think you can do 3 on that day.
No, you can't.
Right?
So you have to go the way that they used to do it, which was cut somebody off the active roster that you're going to then bring back after you designate
so they'll do that,
Spectre as an IR.
All right. Well, let's see here. So we want to, I don't know. I'm leaving it up to you two. For me, I'm just saying I've seen enough. The man best ability is availability. And I not have been able to stay.
Yeah. Spectre might make the team, but he'll be on IR.
Right.
So
that's what I think actually
is he really making the team if he's on IR?
Right.
All right. So if we've got 3 people going IR, that means we're going to have 56 people. This number.
I'm struggling with. I definitely. So I think based on for sure Nick Monroe's making the team. He has to. Like the dude had 95 tackles last year. Sure, he's a liability in coverage sometimes, but like he's a veteran linebacker who actually is not bad. He's not bad, right? I do struggle with the Joe Andreessen thing, but my heart wants it. So we're sticking with this. I love it.
Hey, they would not have started him in the last 2 games.
Multiple games,
unless they thought very highly of him and they just wanted to see him inside a game.
I agree.
They actually mic'd him up on the first preseason game. They mic'd him up against the Bears. And then he started week 2. Then he started week 3. It's got to say something, man. It's got to say something.
Definitely, yeah. So,
Big L saying Jessica doing an excellent job tonight. By the way, I always forget to say this. I'm going to yell at Jay because he's supposed to help me. Remember, if you're coming to the channel, we got Jessica here tonight. And please smash that like button. Drop a nickel on that. Subscribe if you're new to our channel. And share, comment. We're here for it all, and we greatly appreciate you. And thank you so much for your participation, whether you're watching it live tonight or catching us on the rewatch tomorrow and the next coming days. So appreciate you. Thank you. So take a minute. I want to wait 1 second. Everybody smash that like button. Because Jake, I always look after the shows. We've had a bunch of people in tonight, and I'll see 5 likes. Now, maybe they're just watching us and they don't like me. I guess it might be me because I'm the one coordinating the thing. I know they love Jessica and they love you, Jake, as well. But smash that like button right now. Thank you.
Give yourself some credit, Mike. Are you kidding me? You keep us on track. I mean, you keep me from going way off the rails because I will, Hey, I'm falling on the sword. If I see those likes and I'm like, what the heck? Why? We had at least 30, 40 different people to comment and I see 5 likes. I'm like, all right. Hey, if you don't like it too, I always say this. If you don't like it, hit the down arrow. Yeah. Let us know. Give us some constructive criticism. We're here for it. You love it, though.
Absolutely.
Instead of sitting on the active roster week 1. And if you say that, Bail Inspector, in my opinion, is not.
Okay. All right.
I agree. Let's put a
that would be
on those injury guys. Yeah. Why don't we put a red highlight on those injury guys too, Mike? So Matt Milano, you could put in red, right?
Yeah, here's what I'm going to do. So there's the spreadsheet set up. Like it actually counts the number of grains. So I'll go back at the end here. Milano, Spectre.
Yeah, probably Spectre. And Quentin Morris, maybe.
No, I think personally, I think it's going to be Hamlin.
It's week to week, so probably you're right. He probably won't be. Yeah. How about this? I was going to hit the like button until Mike disrespected
Dang it. Roy's a tough one, man. I can never get him to hit the like button, never. And
Brett
I can see you hit the like.
Unbelievable.
No, actually, I can't. But yeah, hit the like, hit the dislike. It's all good. Roy, you've been out here a long time. At least show respect for Jessica. Okay, you got to hit that like button today.
My dad loves it. Jess, you really have been. You've been amazing. I would love for you to be a regular guest on the show. This is awesome. You're so
Yeah.
knowledgeable. You know your stuff. I mean, yeah, you've knocked it out of the park tonight.
Thank you.
And you'll get us more likes, Jessica. Obviously, you'll get us more likes.
Yeah. I mean, everyone loves a woman. Like, no one wants to see this all the
Right.
time. You know, like people
Right.
need to see a different. The opposite sex needs to appear on shows here, you know, just to equal things out a little bit.
Look at Roy getting coy. I hit it twice. You know what that does, right? Hits the like and then hits it again. So, it goes off the like. So
Hey, people are only liking this video because of you. So thank you, Jess. Brett just said that too.
Love it. And then, yes, Roy, I disrespected McKitty. Dang it. I won't make that mistake again. Next year, I'm going to put all
Get a jersey,
91
Mike.
players on here. Right? Maybe I'll have to. I'll see where he goes. All right, we're up to 53. And again, afterwards, who was the other IR we thought? Because I want to go back afterwards and paint it red, and we'll be all good.
So Balin Spector, him and Matt Milano would be the two.
Okay. And I'm going to say DeMar Hamlin's also going on IR.
Oh, okay.
Reserve pup.
Mm-hmm.
He has a hamstring injury, and they have to decide on Tuesday. And those things last from 2 to 8 weeks. And all of a sudden it's healed. I think they put him on the pup reserve.
Yeah,
Jake is a little kid, the Trekker viewer. Jake is a little kid at heart.
It's just how close we are to our cameras. I'm like backed up a little bit. I got a loud voice, and if I talk too close to the mic, you guys are gonna have like a burst in your headphones or whatever you're listening on. So I don't want that.
All right, we're at 53 on this roster right now. Day one. Obviously, a couple of them on IR, so we got to pick more than 53. But here we go. Let's get into the cornerback room, which has been a good room in the camp and in the preseason. Obviously, Benford, Douglas, Johnson, Kyer Elam, Taron Johnson, of course, and Kyer Elam, they're locks. And Jamarcus Ingram, Daquan Hardy, Corey Couch. We talked about, we'll get back to our Jamarcus Ingram, UB guy as well. But Daquan Hardy, let's talk about him first, the rookie that we drafted this year. I feel like they're going to use him as kick returner. He's been really good as far as even in coverage. I heard a lot of good things in camp. You saw it on the field in preseason. Should have had maybe at least 1 or 2 interceptions. I'm thinking he's a lock, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, Ingram's a lock. Sure. And I'm thinking that Hardy also makes it as the returner.
Okay. So he's a lock. Jake, you're good with that?
I 100% agree. Yep.
All right. So Jamarcus Ingram had a really good, I think he was the highest PFF score.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think you got to lock him in.
Yes, he's locked as far as I'm concerned.
Let's lock him in.
And to Corey Couch, practice squad. He did enough. It's like he's a bubble guy to me. Like, and you know what? Actually, too, he has the familiarity with Adai, our DB's coach, because he played for him at Miami. So I think that goes a long way too. But yeah, he'll be a practice squad guy that might eventually be called up.
Brett said he's filing an HR complaint on you, Jake. I don't know what you said. What the heck? What's going on there?
What did I say?
What happened?
What did I say?
Happened? I don't know. I have no clue.
I love what Roy said here. He said, when did the train tracks go back up? Make your kitty. So she's down here. The cat is down here. Tuesday is down. Her name is Tuesday, by the way. My wife named her that. I don't know why. She just felt like we got her on a Monday, which is hilarious. Train tracks. Yeah, I got to put those up. I don't know where I'm going to. The problem is I have a bourbon barrel there now. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the Christmas tree and the train this year. Might put it a little bit farther behind, but I definitely have to have it on camera just for you guys, right? The Bills Christmas tree too.
100%. 100%. All right, so let's get into the safety room. Obviously, Taylor Rapp, Cole Bishop, Mike Edwards, although they've been dinged up, I think I heard that they're possibly going to be ready for week 1. Now, of course, they haven't had any playing time really in preseason, so I don't know what that really means, but they're not going on IR, right?
Unless you agree with what I'm saying, that Hamlin's going on IR.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Hamlin. Okay.
Yeah.
But I guess I was more talking about Bishop and Edwards because
I think they'll all be ready week 1. Okay. The only question is who's going to start with Taylor Rapp. Is it going to be
Right.
Edwards or is it going to be Lewis? McDermott's not going to put a rookie out there at a safety position week 1.
So Brett is
I
saying Mike
sadly
Edwards
agree. I mean,
played
we know the history with Sean McDermott and how little he'll play a rookie to start off the year, outside of Christian Benford, which is such a weird like rookie to start, right?
Bishop has been injured, so he hasn't had the time developing as a safety, unlike Benford or Rousseau or Torrance last year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would agree. I think the fact that we actually haven't heard anything too. I mean, they're usually pretty quick to put those guys on IR, or at least there's murmurs about it. I don't think either of them will be. So, yeah, Mike Edwards probably will. Yeah.
Which is interesting because again, I guess he played yesterday. I don't know how much, and I think he was even injured during camp, wasn't he? Like he couldn't get much time at camp either. I understand.
No, yeah, you're right. That's it. Yep.
He has 2 weeks to get ready and learn the system, and he's a veteran. I think he can do it.
Yeah. That does give me hope because he played for the Chiefs last year, and actually the Chiefs guys, both Chad and Weston, said we got a good one there. So that gives me a lot of confidence.
The question is there any hope for Kareem Jackson, or is that totally out of the question?
I don't think so. We practice squad at best.
That's crazy because he's started a lot of games in the NFL. I know he's 36, but, you know, he did play yesterday, which was weird to see. A guy that's been in the league for that long playing in the last preseason game.
Like I said,
second and third teamers.
If they were playing yesterday, they're more than likely not on the team.
Right.
And since he was playing, it means that he's probably gone.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. We're at 55 right now. And again, it's just a matter of roster juggling. I don't know what happens.
Now we came up with 24 on the offense. So there's one more that needs to go on the offense if you agree with what I said about Hamlin going to the IR and Milano and Spector. There's one more on the offensive side that would go there because we went to 24. And it's either going to be a 4th tight end, a 10th offensive lineman, or a 7th wide receiver. And if it's a 7th wide receiver, it is shorter, and he's playing as a gunner, and he's there as special teams. If it's the tight end, it's Davidson or McKitty, Roy. And if it's a 10th offensive lineman, I'm thinking that it might be Clapp.
Yeah, I could see that, especially because interior is kind of lacking. It looks like we've kept a lot of tackles here, so that would make sense. It's just what do they value more, you know? So I'm going to go with offensive line. I feel like they have to keep another interior guy just based on who we have here. So I'll agree with you. I think it's either Will Clapp or Lyle Collins. Lyle Collins obviously gives you the ability to play both guard and tackle, but I was not impressed with. I just feel like that Achilles injury, it was kind of the nail in the coffin for him. I know he's trying to make a comeback, but yeah, it probably makes more sense with Will Clapp.
All right. Is Clapp, does he play both center guard?
Yeah, and actually it's funny because he was really more or less a center for the majority of his career, but he was just playing guard in the preseason for us.
All right. Well, just help me here. Just know he's versatile, can play both.
Yep.
So at 56, again, we're over by 3, but we're thinking that there's going to be some IR moves, and honestly, 3 of these people, when they do come off IR, those folks that go on IR, somebody's going to get cut later on. So, interesting stuff there. Now, let's go back to the questions we had early on, and Roy, I mean, don't be mad at me for leaving Will Clapp off there as well. I know I had him off there. Another bad decision, but don't make that decision change you hitting that like button. Anyhow, let's get back to Bass.
Here's a quick question.
Yes.
Yeah, do Bass, and then we'll talk about my question too, because I have a good one for you guys.
All right. As long as you remember. Like
I'll
me,
remember.
if I was to say that, I'd be like, I'd forget to tell you after this because we're gonna get into it. So Tyler Bass struggled last year late in the season. Obviously, wide right Chiefs game. It's still fresh on my mind. A lot of memories back to Scotty Norwood, wide right. So he was struggling. A lot of people say, well, we weren't going to stop the Chiefs anyway, even if we tied. Why did we even go for it?
Mhm.
But in any case, he missed it. He kicks in that stadium, and you got Bucker coming in and just looking like, he's not going to miss anything. He'll kick from 55, 60, 65 if he has to. But our guy's been struggling. There's been a lot of talk. A lot of the beat writers are really putting out some stuff on him in camp where he's had some really awful days. And I know he struggled yesterday. He missed one kick. He struggled more than just one kick because he also kicked the ball short of the landing zone, which put the ball at the 40-yard line. That's a big deal. You better be accurate. You better be hitting that landing zone. There is no reason you should be kicking the ball short of the landing zone. No kicker should be. But he missed another kick wide right. What was that? I think it was a 51-yarder, though. It was no gimme.
Yeah.
But again,
it
was a 40-yarder.
Was it?
Yeah. I think it was 40 yards.
Was it I thought it was a 50.
I think it was 50. Was it 51? I thought it was 51.
Hmm.
I don't know. Let me look that up. Yeah.
My dad's saying, good show, except for the Kyrie
He does not
praise.
like
There wasn't much praise there. Come on.
Right.
Good to see you, Dad. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a 51-yarder.
51-yarder. Yep. Yeah, thought it was a long one.
Okay.
It didn't even look close, though. It has not looked, and from the reports that we've been hearing out of camp, it's just been, he's been shaky. Like, there's never been consistency, it sounds like. So,
I think he's lifting his head and not seeing the foot connect with the ball. I think he's so uptight about it right now. He's wanting to watch where the ball goes. And that's, I play tennis, and that happens an awful lot, that you go to hit a ball, you're looking where it's going instead of looking and seeing where the ball is actually hitting the racket.
Yeah,
it's good advice.
It's all a mental thing for him right now, and honestly, we're not going to move on with him unless he just is so bad and costs us some big games. But he's got a big contract, signed him for a big deal. And I want to go back to Dorothy's question. So she's on the other side of it. She's saying, are we using Tyler Bass as an scapegoat? I feel like if Bass made the kick in the Chiefs game, we wouldn't be dragging him for every missed kick. And remind me, how far was that kick in the Chiefs game? It was 40 plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 46 maybe, something like
46.
that.
46. It was very close to Scott Norwood's 47-yard
I know,
right.
I know.
But yeah, so are we using him as a scapegoat? I'll start. I don't think so. I mean, obviously he hasn't hurt us yet. It's just been preseason. He hasn't hurt us. I guess I can better answer that in the as the season gets going. But I will say from last year, I'm going to go to what Jim Kelly said when I saw him get an interview by Chris Long. He said, do you blame Scott? He said, no. Shouldn't have been in that position. 47-yarders were not a gimme. They're still not really a gimme, especially when the wind's blowing. And you do put a lot on the kicker that kicks in Buffalo. You're like, oh my God, you got to be able to kick that. The wind was blowing. Honestly, I'm not even sure why the coaching staff decided to go for it. I'm sorry, why they kick it instead of go for it, put the ball in your best player's hand and go down and get the winning touchdown, win that game. Don't even depend on a 46-yarder to tie the game and then give the Chiefs the ball back with a minute 50. That usually doesn't go very well. I've seen that play out many, many times, and it usually doesn't go your way. So anyhow, I'm throwing it to you to answer Dorothy's question. Are we using him as an scapegoat? Jessica, what do you say to Dorothy?
Yes, to a certain extent. It's the focus on just one kick as the reason why we didn't advance is not fair. But he is being used as a scapegoat, saying everybody's wanting to say that if he was better, we would have been in better position and we would have had a chance to win.
It would have given us a shot for sure. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, I think with how the game was going is that everybody felt that even if he made the kick, that Kansas City would have gone down and kicked their own, and the game would have been over that way.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Jessica. The coaches knew that the Bills weren't stopping them. They were moving the ball all day. It's windy. Fourth down. I don't know what it was. Fourth. It was not like a 4th and short. It was like a 4th and 8 or something like that. But still, I'd rather take that risk with Josh Allen trying to make that play. So again, I don't totally put it on him, but that is his job. So he's gonna get heat, especially in big moments like that. Like, let's think about it. 13-second game. Bucker comes in, has to kick one of the most important kicks of his life, and he makes it, sends it into overtime. And Bucker hit at least, was it 1 or 2 in that game last year, just drills him, no problem whatsoever. So it is a concern. It's a mental thing right now with him. But Jake, I mean, what's your thoughts? Are we just using him as a scapegoat there?
I hate to just echo what Jessica said, but I think she's spot on with everything she just mentioned. I mean, he does need to hit those kicks. And actually, Roy brought this up. He said he heard us in the Philly game last year, too. Yeah, it wasn't just one occurrence. That's the thing. Like, it wasn't just that game. Like, there were other games, too, where he was missing, and it was very uncharacteristic of him. So I think this really dates back to a certain point last year, early on. And I'm trying to think of that moment because it hasn't been the same. And you don't have that
game.
Yeah, maybe it was the Giants game. Yeah. Because you don't have that same sense of confidence you had in 2022 or 2021 where he was out there hitting everything. He was automatic. He was an 89% kicker, you know. Now, I mean, it's like 50-50. And, you know, in the preseason, did it do anything for me that he was hitting 30-yarders? No. And then yesterday, missing the 51-yarder where it didn't even look close. And then hearing all the reports from camp where it was like he was on and off throughout all of training camp. Like, that doesn't help the situation. So, of course, it's a little bit of a concern. And I think at a certain point here, you know, maybe you do have to work out some other kickers just to even, you know, put a little pressure on him or something. And maybe that's the worst thing you could do. I think Jessica makes a good point. Maybe he is like looking where the ball's going to go. He's not keeping his head down. He's lifting his head up. There are mental things and little things you can do to make adjustments and help that out. And I know he probably knows all this stuff. You know, we're not saying anything new. But, yeah, this has been an ongoing issue for quite some time. But to use him as a full-on scapegoat and the reason why we didn't end up going to a Super Bowl and winning one last year, it's kind of insane.
We didn't have any linebackers. That's the reason why.
No one. Yeah. We got A.J. Klein out there. They're yelling check milk when he's out there.
Yeah.
They know he's a liability. Yeah.
I want to speak to B-Bake. Good to see you out there. Haven't seen you before, so if you're new, give us a like, please, and smash that.
B-Bake, he's been in a few times, Mike. He does. He's our good friend Cody's buddy.
Okay. Sorry, my bad.
Yep.
B-Bake. So it is interesting. So what I'm thinking here is when the rule was first discussed, it was supposed to go to the 35-yard line if you kicked it into the end zone. I have much preferred that. I think it should have been a steeper penalty than the 30-yard line. So teams kind of know that the average starting point, if you get any type of blocking, you should be starting close to the 30-yard line anytime you catch the ball in the landing zone. So knowing that and knowing the rule, you still might see a lot of people kicking the ball out of the into the end zone and letting them get it at the 30. Why not? They used to get it at the 25. You're only surrendering 5 more yards. I think the 35-yard line would have been more of a penalty and made you think a little bit longer about kicking that into the end zone. So that's kind of my thought there, B-Bake. And I think you're going to see, again, I don't think anyone's been showing their hands yet with the new kickoff rule. I think you're going to see some cool things happen as the season starts.
Yep.
Let's see here. I feel like there's some other ones that's showing that I missed some comments.
He was heading to Key West. You're right, Jessica. He literally was packing up his RV to head to Key West, and we gave him a call. And he said, all right, I guess I'll play for the Buffalo Bills one last time. A.J. Klein led the Buffalo Bills in sacks in 2020. Let's all remember that. He had his moments here. He was a good player. He was a very good player, but you could tell. I mean, there were moments last year where it's like this guy, you know, practice squad, but his mind wasn't really in it either. So can't really blame him. Why not go play more football if you can?
I think that the new kickoff rule is also weighing on Tyler Bass's mental abilities. I think you're having trouble making field goals, and now all of a sudden you got to learn or figure out what you're going to do on kickoffs versus just what he's been doing the first 3 or 4 years of his career with the Bills.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is that I know all the kickers are trying to mess with that knuckleball, right? And this is the time to do it in the preseason. Like, if they hit that thing right, I think it's going to be difficult to catch. And we've seen it a couple times where they kick that knuckler, especially in a place like Buffalo, where the ball's already moving because of the wind. Oh my goodness, that thing could cause trouble. So maybe he was experimenting there, but when I saw that, I'm like, dude, you gotta hit that. And I know in week 1, he was kicking everything into the end zone. I'm like, you've already done that for your career. Let's kick those into the landing zone a little bit more.
Yeah.
Percentage-wise.
How about this?
Yeah. Go ahead, Jake.
Sabermetric stats right here from B-Bag. Percentage-wise, Bass did have his worst season since 2020. Bass was 10 for 11 from 40 to 49 yards in 2022. 4 for 6 from 40 to 49 yards in 2023. It's interesting, too, the amount of attempts, specifically at that range. Maybe it was a matter of the Bills just going for it more, but is there a reason why we didn't attempt as many kicks from that range, too? Like, maybe the coaches know something that's going on. Maybe they know that this has been an issue for quite some time, and it's really just being exposed now. So I hope that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. He gets a clean slate come the season. He's here for the duration, and we just got to get behind him, and hopefully he gets the mechanics right. It's like Jessica said, you have mechanics wrong. Tennis, golf is another big one. All of a sudden, you go out and be playing great golf, and then next week you come back and want to quit the game of golf. So it's a mechanic. It gets in your head. I think he'll get it straightened out. I have faith in him. We'll see. I keep getting a little fooled here. I see Jessica Tennis out in the chat there. I'm like, wait, isn't Jessica on a show with us tonight? So it's throwing me off a little bit. But anyhow, let's see. How many times last season did Bass kick the ball short of the end zone? The new rule shouldn't be a problem. Yes, that's exactly what you want to do. Maybe ideally if you can get it within that 5, the goal line, but still at least inside the 10, always on every kick. If you're gonna want them to return it, or you take the easy route and say, nah, just let them start at the 30. But I don't see that a lot happening. We'll see. I don't know.
I'm thinking about the game that the wind was blowing so hard out of one end zone, and the kickoffs were going up in the air and actually going backwards.
Yeah.
And I'm just imagining that happening with this kickoff rule.
What brutal.
People would think.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because you can remember that New England game. Now, there wasn't a lot of scoring in it at all. There wasn't any passing, but a kickoff definitely with this new rule is going to be extremely interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And as the bad weather comes in for all kickers, not just Buffalo, there's bad weather, throughout the country. So,
you imagine just a whiteout game in Buffalo with this kickoff rule?
Yeah, right.
Craziness.
They're going to have to come out and make sure that the 20-yard line is clean because those refs need to see that ball clears 20 or is short of it, because that's a big difference, right? Big difference. So anyhow, it's been a lot of fun. We're going on 2 hours. I think we'll wrap things up. It's been great. Jessica, how was your first experience on a podcast?
I really enjoyed it. It was fun talking to both of you and responding to Roy in the chat.
You're a natural. You did great.
Yeah,
you really did. You did a fantastic job. And again, the knowledge, very impressive.
Well, thank you.
Did awesome. Yeah.
I love the story too, from the Cowboys to the Bills. Love that story. A lot of good history there. So yeah, and like Jake said, anytime we'd love to have you on.
Okay.
Next thing we know, Jessica will be starting her own podcast. She'll surpass all the players out here. She'll have 30,000 subs in no time, Jessica.
Oh yeah.
I don't think so, but
you did think about.
You should start a tennis channel. That'd be kind of cool.
Maybe. I have not played tennis in 3 years due to injuries.
Okay.
at my age, it's tough to play tennis as much as I used to.
Well, Jake, let's get her comfortable on our show first before you have her going off
Right.
starting a new show.
We need
already.
her here. We need
exactly.
her here. She's going to help us. Yeah.
So we got 2 weeks for football, 1 o'clock at Highmark against the Cardinals. Can't wait. We'll have a show next Sunday. We'll be back. We have the AFC East Summit this Tuesday and the following Tuesday. The first football game is Thursday night, and it's a good one, right? It's the Super Bowl, not Super Bowl, the AFC East AFC Championship rematch, right? It's the Chiefs versus the Ravens. I don't know where that is. Is that at Kansas City?
Arrowhead.
Or is that? Oh man, okay, that's going to be lit. And I'm curious if bringing this up here. Let me stop sharing the screen here. But I'm looking at the date there. So that is the 6th, right? I'm sorry, the 5th.
The 5th, yes.
Yeah,
September
awesome.
5th. Yeah.
So
and don't forget, college football is in full swing. So for all the college football fans out there, I hope you're living it up. It was fun yesterday, week 0. Love to see it. Georgia Tech's quarterback, so gritty. It was so weird watching Georgia Tech not run a triple option offense too. Like, I am not accustomed to that yet. I miss those days, you know. Big upset.
I think Weston, were you going to that game? Weston or Chad, are you going to that game against the Ravens? I can't remember. I don't think so. I think Weston was complaining like the rest of us how expensive tickets are.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I can only imagine how much those are going for. Yeah.
Was there a question out there? Because I see people putting like Pete Sampras.
Oh yeah.
What was the question?
Player.
Favorite tennis player. Got it. Somebody asked her that. Awesome.
Who's yours, Mike? Do you have one off the top of your head?
Yeah. John McEnroe. Sorry.
Not Connors?
No, not Jimmy. I love McEnroe. Borg. I'm going back old school. Borg was a good, very good. I loved. So I got to go to a Virginia Slims when I worked in retail and for a sporting goods store out here in California. Actually, we went to LA, and Chrissy Everett was still playing, and I got to see her play. I'm forgetting some of the names. Who was the other female at the time of Chrissy that was just
Navratilova?
Yes, got to see them play, both of them. And it was something I always cherish. It was just amazing. And then, so we're out there, we bring our gear, we're stringing rackets for people, not for the pros, of course. They got their own folks that's stringing the rackets, but we're out there, trying to market our sporting goods store. And Gabriella Sabatini, another one, beautiful
She's
model,
a tiny,
plays
short
tennis.
little girl.
She was out there like, I'm right here, and she's over in the practice court hitting some balls from the machine. It was super cool, and I enjoyed it. I haven't been back to a tennis match, but I want to. I mean, I watch a lot of tennis on TV, but being there is very special, and I would love to get back there again and watch another tournament. It's so good. You get a little sore. I mean, your neck is going to be a little tough because you're going back and forth, but it's so good, man.
Yeah. Yeah, hell of a workout watching it and playing it, right? I mean, really.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Connors and McEnroe, Roy, and then Borg and McEnroe had some really good matches as well.
I was an enormous Maria Sharapova fan. Not only as a tennis player, but as a woman she's a very good looking gal. Love Sharapova. But Andy Roddick was my guy. I love Andy Roddick.
Yeah.
Did he just retire? Is he done now officially?
Oh yeah, he's been for
been
a while.
A while, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Federer, of course, he's one of the greatest ever. And I loved what he brought to the game. And then just to help me out, he's recently, I don't know if he's retired, he's the clay court master. What's his name?
That's Nadal. Nadal is the clay court master right now.
Unbelievable.
And then Joker has the most majors.
I love him because he's got personality. He's funny.
Yeah.
He does a lot of those. I don't know. I don't think they're celebrities, but where they're playing against one another, they're mic'd up and just having fun with the audience. He is just funny. He's a great player.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Look at us
Well,
talking tennis. This is
I mean,
great.
we're gonna have to get Jessica back on and talk tennis one of these one
And
of
the
these shows.
saddest tennis story is Monica Seles, because she was winning, she was dominating, and then a fan of Steffi Graf came down and stabbed her, and that was basically the end of her career.
That's horrible.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Gosh.
Yeah, Steffi Graf. Love Steffi Graf, Roy.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know why I'm forgetting. Who did she marry?
She married Andre Agassi.
Agassi, yeah. Agassi, one of the greatest returners. I don't know how he did it. These guys hitting the ball about 140 miles an hour, and he was such a good returner. That was his game. So that was his game. And
he one of the few tennis players who's won all four. Wimbledon, U.S. Open, Australian Open, and the French.
Wow.
Now, Anna Kournikova, is she more recent?
Yes, she's more recent.
Okay, yeah. Probably why I don't know her as well. I know the name, but for some reason, I haven't been able to watch a lot of tennis recently. It was back in the day where I just watched it. If it was on, maybe I'm not seeing it on regular TV because you got to pay for all this stuff now. I don't know, but if it was on, I was watching it.
It's on ESPN, and most of the tournaments are in Europe and in Asia at this point, and so it's late night if you want to watch it on ESPN or on the Tennis Channel.
I was gonna say I've woken up a few times because I just leave ESPN on all night. That's probably why I'm getting all my my knowledge. I just retain it because that's all I'm listening to. But I'll wake up and it's like 6 a.m. and it's like tennis is on and it's like live. I'm like, this is wow. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, I think that does it. Yeah. Football in a couple weeks. Like I said, we'll be back next Sunday, same time, same bad channel. You'll see the AFC Summit on Tuesday. I think our fantasy football show. I mean, we had the draft last week. I think you'll see them this week again. Everybody's doing fantasy drafts this week. Probably the latest most people are going is Friday. I know we have a draft at work going Friday. So
I have one going next Tuesday, Mike.
Oh, that's right. You're going to be in Vegas.
I will be in Vegas. Yes.
So
I've talked.
I was asking. I might make the drive. There's still an opportunity.
So I would love you to, but I will be honest with you. We are doing stuff like all day. So I don't know how. I mean, I'll make time for you, but I don't want you to make that drive if it's only for an hour.
No. I'd see you whether it be 30 minutes, an hour, and I'd probably bring Troy. We'd have a good time there.
Wow, that would be fun. Yeah, warm in my heart.
U.S. Open begins tomorrow. All right. Let's go. Let's see. That's my okay. Yep.
There we go.
Definitely give him now that you've given me the okay, because he was actually asking. He does a Sunday sit down show, and he said, "Hey, ask Jessica if she would join me on the Sunday sit down." It's a good show. He's had his wife on it. Yeah. He's had guests, and it's just really, he'll ask you questions like I asked you, your journey to becoming a Buffalo Bills, and he's got some funny questions that he asks as well. But all good stuff. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you again, Jessica. Jake, always great as usual. Jessica, fantastic. And I hope that you're joining us again very soon.
Okay.
Just let us know. You have an open invitation. Thank you. Maybe you can get on with the Ruthless guys and bring some positivity back, right? They got a little negativity going on there. Oh, Sean's going to hate me for that one. But
he is.
Sean, we love you. We love you.
Him and Jess, they got a little thing going on, a little feud. Yeah, that would be electric.
Yes.
Look at Roy. My fantasy doesn't include football.
Roy, I love it.
I wonder what Roy's fantasy is.
Only imagine. We're getting a lot of HR complaints tonight.
Oh boy, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah,
I get it. All right, we'll end it. We're a little over 2 hours. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you soon. Until then, stay safe and go Bills.
Go Bills.